What happens when the son of the Shadow Monarch is forced to face a world of monsters, dungeons, and hunters without any powers of his own? This is the beginning of Sung Suho's journey, and the moment his destiny collides with the legacy of Jinwoo. Let's get to it. To start off chapter 1, we get some backstory on the Supreme Beings, entities that have created countless universes while they pursue eternal life and live through it. With each new universe, countless substances, souls, and laws are born. However, the Supreme Beings felt so much boredom, so to entertain themselves, they watched as their creations waged war against one another. The endless bloodshed, chaos, and cycles of rebirth satisfied their boredom, until one day, the Supreme Being was off by his own creation, referencing the time when the rulers offed the Supreme Being after realizing they were being used as pawns in the war against the monarchs. That Supreme Being was the one who created Jinwoo's universe. When the Supreme Beings from other dimensions found out, they gathered to observe this now masterless universe. But instead of mourning the loss of one of their own, they became obsessed with the opportunity. Whoever could take over Jinwoo's universe would become his new master. The scene then suddenly cuts to Sung Suho in high school, with him telling a couple of his classmates that he's gotten accepted into an arts university. I can't help but sense that Suho's skills in drawing is a little nod to when he drew Jinwoo's shadow soldiers when he was a baby. Another student named Lee Yuncho enters the scene and confronts Suho. Apparently, he's pissed at Suho for ruining his plan to take over the high school. Just your typical petty high school boy drama. Lee winds up to throw a punch, but Suho makes the first move, kneeing Lee in the face. However, Suho is taken aback when he notices that Lee barely took any damage. Lee's fist flares up, and he punches a hole straight through the lockers next to them. Everyone is freaked out as Lee just awakened. The scene then jumps forward 2 years. Suho is now a second-year college student, walking across campus. He spots a D-rank gate nearby, surrounded by the Hunter Association. It's been 8 hours since the Hunters went inside. Seeing the gate makes Suho think back to when the gates first appeared 3 years earlier, forcing the world to change and adapt. Just like in the original Solo Leveling, the appearance of the gates also brought forth the Awakened. If you're a Solo Leveling fan like me, then this is nothing new to us. But I gotta admit, there are a few differences from the original Solo Leveling. What Suho mentions next is pretty interesting. Wu Jinzhou was the one who created the Hunter Association, and the profession known as Hunters. These are the awakened individuals, assigned to enter dungeons before whatever's inside can escape into the world if a gate is left unchecked for too long. This system created a divide between awakened and non-awakened people. Without the awakened, the non-awakened can't survive, but the awakened can survive just fine without them. Since Suho himself hasn't awakened, well, for now anyways, he feels a growing sense of unease. He starts wondering if he's becoming numb to not getting what he wants, whether it's his missing parents, Jinwoo and Heian, or the fact that his survival depends entirely on others. He remembers a time when he felt like he could do anything, but that feeling vanished, leaving a void filled with nothing but powerlessness. Suho then recalls something Heian always told him, that he resembled Jinwoo, and he wonders how his father would handle being in such a powerless situation. Suddenly, Suho's art teacher interrupts his thoughts, asking what he's been drawing, and it turns out he sketched Beru. The story then cuts back to the D-rank gate, where Kim Jung-soo and his Hunter team emerge. Kim reveals they've encountered a new type of monster, humanoids, that spew blue flames from their eyes and mouth. He was scratched by one of them, but for now, he seems unaffected, at least until the scratch begins to react. Moments later, Kim transforms into one of the creatures and starts biting anyone nearby. The infection spreads quickly, turning others into the same monsters. Suho's entire class watches from their classroom window, horrified by what's happening. Suddenly, one of the creatures crashes into the room and bites a student. Suho bolts for the door, but slows down when he sees a classmate injured. He keeps running until a wave of guilt hits him. He realizes that leaving means basically giving his classmate a death sentence. Thinking of what his father would do, Suho turns back. Just as the creature is about to attack, Suho steps in, shields his classmate, and smashes the monster with a fire extinguisher. On the final page of the chapter, a notification appears. Suho has completed the secret quest, called Courage of the Weak, and that's how chapter 1 ends. Moving on to chapter 2. Chapter 2 starts off with Suho remembering a dream he had earlier, one that felt like a game where he leveled up while taking down different types of monsters. But these quote-unquote monsters were actually Jinwoo's shadow soldiers, including his most powerful ones like Igris, Beru, and Belian. Eventually, Suho reached the final boss, Jinwoo himself, whose power was completely overwhelming to him. He's recalling what happened in Solo Leveling chapters 193 to 199 if you guys and girls want to check out that mini story arc yourselves. Jinwoo was basically testing his son's limits while he slept, creating a game within Suho's dreams. From Suho's point of view, after realizing his dad was the final boss, he believed he had projected Jinwoo's image into the dream because his father is such a strong and trustworthy figure to him. He then wonders how his dad became that powerful. We then cut back to the present, where Suho grabs the fire extinguisher and strikes the creature with it. Right after, he's unsure of what to do next, realizing he jumped in without a plan. Suddenly, time freezes around him as an alert appears in front of him, notifying him that he's completed the secret quest called Courage of the Weak. It also tells him he now qualifies to become a player and gives him the choice to accept or not. This instantly brings back the feeling he had in the dream, and without hesitation, he chooses to become a player. Instantly, Suho receives the quest rewards, which include a spellcaster's blessing and a longevity effect. Another quest immediately appears, a tutorial mission, tasking Suho with defeating the creatures the system calls Mistburns and leveling up once more to complete it. Suho tells his classmate to run, then notices labels above each Mistburn's head, indicating their power levels. Without hesitation, he jumps right into action, punching one of the weaker Mistburns straight through the ceiling. Amazed by a sudden burst of strength, Suho kicks another one away, leaving only the toughest in the room, a D-rank Mistburn. He charges in for a punch, but is stunned when the D-rank eats the blow and slashes across his chest. Panicking for a moment, Suho thinks the scratch will turn him into a Mistburn, but the system quickly heals him, negating the effect. The Mistburn then pins him to the ground. Thinking fast, Suho accepts his tutorial rewards, and the points added into his strength helps him push the Mistburn off him. He tries striking it again, but he still isn't strong enough, so he dumps every ability point he has into strength. With a flurry of rapid, powerful punches, Suho finally takes down the D rank. As he catches his breath, he takes in everything that just happened, as he fully realizes he's awakened now, and that means he can finally protect others in this dire situation. But before he can process it further, a C-rank Mistburn appears, slashing through the window right in front of him, ending off chapter 2. Moving on to chapter 3. Chapter 3 kicks off with alarms blaring across the campus, warning every civilian within range to evacuate. As there's a dungeon break at the Arts University, soldiers stationed nearby keep watch over the area, frustrated that they can't do anything while people are dying. They have to wait for B-rank and above hunters to arrive before making any moves, especially with the added risk of infected hunters turning into Mistburns. The scene cuts back to where chapter 2 ended, with Suho now facing a Mistburn that used to be a C-rank hunter named Kim Jong-soo. The name sounds familiar. Maybe he's related to Park Jong-soo. Either way, Suho instantly notices how different this Mistburn is from the ones he fought earlier. He forces himself to believe he can take it on since he just leveled up, but reality hits fast as hell. Within seconds, the Mistburn swings his sword at him, and although Suho manages to dodge, the attack causes a massive gash into the classroom wall behind him. Suho's confidence plummets. He knows he barely has a chance against this one. Running becomes his only option. He briefly considers holding out until hunters arrive, but there's no time. The Mistburn suddenly shifts his attention towards some girls on the rooftop of the school. The Mistburn suddenly makes a massive leap toward the girls on the roof, slaughtering them with ease. Suho watches in disbelief, his stomach churning at the sight. In that moment, he changes his mind and sprints back towards the roof. He knows he can't wait for the hunters to arrive, or more lives will be lost. He lands a kick to the back of the Mistburn's neck, but it has no effect. The creature whirls around, slashing at Suho with his sword, but he manages to dodge again. That blade could take him out in a single hit, but Suho doesn't care about the risk. He can't let this monster roam free. He goes on the offensive, striking the Mistburn while weaving past his deadly swings, eventually landing a knee to his face. However, the Mistburn finally slashes across Suho's chest and kicks him hard into a wall. Pain sears through every cell in his body, leaving him with just 1 point of health left. Almost like the system itself refuses to let him die. Then comes the dope part, and one of the most badass entrances within soul leveling in my opinion. Cracks begin to form in a couple of panels, growing bigger with each passing second as Suho pushes himself to keep fighting. The Mistburn charges, but Suho's exhaustion is at 99, causing him to collapse. Right on time, the cracks burst open to a dimensional rift, and through his steps, let's just say it's over for every being who threatened Suho's life, as Beru arrives, immediately healing Suho. Suho looks up, confused, as Beru says he's late, but I say he's right on time to clean up this mess, and he doesn't disappoint at all. He turns to the C-rank Mistburn with a terrifying glare and says, "It's you, the one who injured someone so mighty and precious." In one swift motion, he one-shots the C-rank Mistburn, then annihilates the rest in a bloody massacre. Once the carnage is over, Beru returns to Suho and says, "It's been a while, young monarch," ending off chapter 3. Moving on to my personal thoughts, I love the strong start to this sequel series. I wanted to read this and go over it with you guys and girls since the manhwa came back recently. And for those of you wondering what happened after the original soul leveling ended, this is where you get the continuation. Jinwoo's still around, but like I said in Jinwoo's origin video I made months ago, he's currently off planet while Hain is missing, leaving Suho alone. But Jinwoo did send Beru to watch over and help guide Suho in his journey to master his powers, and eventually help his dad in the war he's currently in. It makes complete sense why Jinwoo picked Beru out of all his shadow soldiers. From what I could tell, Beru was Suho's favorite shadow soldier, and Beru was basically his nanny when he was a baby. And boy, after reading the new chapters, you guys and girls are going to see a major difference between Suho and Jinwoo in this story. Suho is definitely on a different path compared to his father. You'll see. Can't wait to reach that part of the story. But besides besides all that, if you were entertained, thought it was educational, like what I said or all the above, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, turn on post notifications, especially if you're a new viewer to the channel. If you want to support the channel even more, my links will be down in the description box below, and I'll talk to you guys and girls later. Peace.